Hey everybody, welcome back to the vlog. Thank you so much for joining me once again for tea time. Today, we have a little bit of misty morning and focus combination. You know, I love doing that. It has that bergamot flavor to it. It's a great pick-me-up. Green tea in there, black tea. It's a combination of a lot of good stuff. Anyways, pick them up. I put these together for you guys about 4 months ago. darkmoonteas.com, or you can go over to my website, JCristina.com. Check them out. It's good. Anyways, today is going to be kind of a continuation of last video that I did. I talked about Sony and their abysmal numbers and how these numbers really can cause maybe some consolidation to happen. And I did say that the consolidation might be across the board and not specific to Sony. But a lot of people said, you're picking on Sony a little bit. So today I'm going to pick on everyone. Why? Because all of the ships are going down, not just one. They're just all underwater. Horribly so. We know that a lot of it has to do with COVID-19, the virus, but not all of it, guys, not all of it. And as I said in the last video, every 2 years, we're seeing a halving of this market, of the photography market, of camera sales, halving and halving and halving. Pretty soon, we're not gonna be able to half the half anymore, right? It's getting really bad. Well, the numbers out of Japan are just really abysmal. We're talking about now not 50% reduction year over year from 2019. We're talking about a 75% reduction year over year from 2019. Well, I'm going to get into it in just a second, but before I do, I know a lot of you guys have been asking about cleaning your sensors, and yes, I put together Aurora Camera Care. It is a brand that specifically makes both lens cleaning and sensor cleaning. They look like this, and we know that mirrorless cameras are notorious for having a dirty sensor. Why is that? Because there's no flippy flip. That blocks, for the most part. There's like 1 or 2 cameras that do it now, but for the most part, they don't. And when you change the lens, the sensor acts like a magnet, sucks in all that debris, dust, and everything, and it sticks to the sensor. And you end up with like a lot of spots and a lot of stuff that you have to work on in post-production to erase, and it's just a pain. Just clean the sensor. And one thing I have to say, some people are scared to clean the sensor, but bear in mind, you're actually cleaning a plate, like a piece of glass, something over the sensor. You're never actually cleaning a sensor, all right? It's kind of, some people think about like, I don't want to touch the sensor. You're really touching the glass over the sensor. But regardless, I put these together. They come in, like this one right here is micro 4/3. I also have APS-C as well as full frame. So they're specific to the size. Like for example, this is a full frame and you can see the size, whereas a micro 4/3 will be like a quarter that size, all right? They come inside here in packets that look like this. They're vacuum sealed in the factory. So they're perfectly 100% dust and lint free, sterile. You can keep these for who knows how many years. They're sealed, period. You have a dry and you have a wet. You go over it first with your wet, and then you come back with a dry and you go over it with the dry a couple of times till you remove any type of residue. And now you have a perfectly clean sensor. Simple and easy. And you're not sending it in to have them do it for $100 or whatever. Do it yourself. Like I said, they come like this and they have 5 different sets in there. So you can literally clean your sensor or multiple cameras 5 times, all right? It's really a good deal. Anyways, some of you guys have been looking for these and asking me about it. Well, there they are. Go over to my website, JCristina.com. You can use that promo code YT20 and get 20% off these or anything else that I've invented over the years. So that's the end of my shameless plug. You guys have been asking for it. I have to tell you about it. So anyways, let's get right into this. April data, BCN Retail data out of Japan. Abysmal, guys, abysmal. Let me bring you over to my screen here. Now, this is in Japanese. Let me go ahead and highlight this so we know what is going on here. This blue down here is Canon. Then next to it, you have red. Let me highlight that. This is Sony. And then finally, we have Olympus in green. So at least we can see what's going on here. Now, over here we have February, and on this side we have April's numbers or information, okay? And as we can see here, what the percentage of sales are from the different manufacturers, okay? So you know where things are going. Now, Olympus was doing pretty good for quite some time, and as of right around March, it started doing this little decline right here. But that's okay. They're still at least on the chart. Right, guys? They're on the chart. Whereas in red here, we see Sony was doing fantastic in March, and Canon was quite a bit down here. Now, as we can see, as time has gone by, we have Canon and Sony meeting up right around this 20-25 percentile as far as sales numbers go. Now, before I get into the breakdown of the different cameras, I want to say or reiterate that as of March, all right, the entire industry as a whole was down 50%. There was a 50% year-over-year drop. And now, like I said, it is now over 75% drop as of April. So you can see there's an additional 26, I believe it's 26.1% drop just in the month of April. Now, would we expect that to happen with the virus? Yes, we do. But either which way, it does show a 75% drop. Now, what I found interesting here is Canon, in their recent financial statements, they did say that this is going to get worse before it gets better. I don't even know how that's possible, guys. I don't know. But they did say it. Just explicitly, it is going to get worse before it gets better. So right now we're seeing, let's say, just over 76% down year over year. Are we going to see 90% maybe by next month's numbers? It's definitely possible, guys. It's definitely possible. Nikon also said that they're expecting a dramatic decline in their sales also, and so did Sony in one of their most recent reports. So they're all saying the exact same thing. It is not one company that's having problems. And that's why in the last video when we kind of targeted Sony, I really wasn't trying to target Sony. They're all having these problems. And just by looking at these BCN numbers, we can see that they are across the board. All right. It is a broad spectrum, a large paintbrush that's being used. They're all being hurt, but one. Now, as of last month, I told you that Fujifilm was actually increasing sales during this entire pandemic. And I remember saying, you know, I really do think that they're doing a fantastic job over there. I think probably they are that dark horse that people are not really taking heed to. They're coming silently from behind. They're doing it basically by giving back to the community, back to their customers. Now, how do they do that? I've said this in the past. When you buy a Fujifilm camera, whereas maybe it doesn't allow you to record 4K, literally a month or two later, they give you this firmware update, and all of a sudden you're able to record 4K. So now you paid for 1080p, a really good 1080p camera, and all of a sudden now you have 4K, and it's free. Unlike companies like Panasonic, whereas if they want to give you something, they a lot of times charge you for anything that's great, okay? They want to charge you for that. Now, Fujifilm doesn't do that, all right? They also decided not to go full frame and get into that bloodied water of full frame mirrorless, and they are sticking with APS-C, but they moved into medium format, and they are crushing medium format, right? They're killing it. A lot of the medium format camera manufacturers out there, Hasselblad and a bunch of others, their pricing has to be dropping. Why? Because of Fujifilm. People are looking at it, professionals, and saying, you know what? I can actually buy a Fujifilm. I don't need to rent a $40,000 rig. I can get a Fujifilm camera for like $6K. It's going to do about the same thing. So, Fuji's killing it. All right, they're absolutely killing it. I wish they showed numbers for Fujifilm, and they don't. And I'm going to report back to you guys when I do get these numbers. But as of right now, it doesn't say if Fujifilm is still on that uptrend, even with the latest numbers as of April, or did they level off, or are they going down? Because as of last month, they have been going up where every other company has been going down, which is just unbelievable. Like I said, really unbelievable. So I want to see what happens with Fujifilm, because if they can literally keep their numbers going up during this entire pandemic, I mean, what is that going to mean for Fujifilm once we get out of this pandemic? All right? Are they just going to skyrocket? I don't know. It looks really, really good for them right now. Once again, that dark horse, but we'll see what ends up happening. Let me get into these cameras so you can see a breakdown of which cameras did what, who's on top, who's second, who's third, and so on and so forth. So once again, we can see Canon in the #1 spot with 11.4% of the market. Right underneath that, we have Sony. Then we have 2 Olympus. Once again, another Canon, Sony, Fujifilm coming in 7th. Then we have another Sony, another Canon, and then finally another Fujifilm. Now, over the last couple of months, they really haven't changed position too much. I see Olympus has dropped down a little bit, but all in all, we see Canon always on top. I think they've only lost the top position for 1 month out of like the last, I don't even know how many years, countless years. All right, well, once again, they're back on top with that EOS Kiss M. If you don't know what that camera is, if you're in the US, that is the EOS M series, the M50. Now, a lot of people are even more excited about this camera. Why? Because now Canon has released that Canon EOS Web Utility. That piece of software allows you to use that camera as a webcam. It also allows me to use that 80D as a webcam and a lot of other cameras. And Canon decided to put that out there for free. Whereas before, we used to have to buy a piece of software for about 30, 40, 50 bucks or something to be able to remove all of that HUD information that would show up on the back of the camera. No one wants to see you on your webcam with like a box that's rotating around your face or a battery mark on how much battery is left or whatnot. And the software used to sterilize it, let's just say, and remove all of that HUD information. Well, Canon now has given that to you for free. So once again, I think that is going to also increase numbers. I'm going to speculate in the next month or possibly 2, especially with the COVID thing going on, those numbers are probably going to accelerate because a lot of people are going to start using, especially the Kiss M with its 4K capability as a webcam, which is amazing. So we'll see how that ends up turning out. So those are the top 10 cameras according to the BCN Retail numbers out of Japan. Once again, Japan, not worldwide, but it does give us direction. And that's what we're doing when we do analysis to see where the trend is going. And as of right now, the trend is sinking. The trend is now 76.1% underwater. Kind of like that. Right, guys? And that is market-wide minus Fujifilm. Minus Fujifilm. But all other manufacturers are literally underwater over 75%, with Canon, Sony, and Nikon saying that the worst is yet to come, guys. The worst is yet to come. Now, if that is the case, like I said in my last video, do we think that consolidation is appropriate? Okay? Do we need to have 6, 7, 8 APS-C cameras? Do we need to have 4 or 5 full frame cameras, these mirrorless cameras? Is it necessary? Remember, every single line, every single assembly line normally works on X, Y, Z cameras, all right? And every time you set up a new assembly line that's working on a different model, you have a lot of variables that go into it. You have people that are manning it. You have people that are working on the programming on the assembly line. You have people that are making sure things don't go awry. You have a lot more people that have to work on these. Is it smart to have so many, or does it make sense to consolidate? Now, some folks in my last video said, hey, I don't think consolidation is the way to go. I think they need to keep on making more and more, and hopefully we buy something, all right? But I think on the back side of that, the manufacturing side of that, I think that's a problem. I don't know. What do you guys think? So I want to hear from you. What do you think about these numbers? What do you think about all of them saying that it's The worst is yet to come. All right. Do we see possibly a 90% reduction in next month's numbers? That would be, I don't know, catastrophic for some of these smaller camera manufacturers that are literally selling nothing. They're making cameras to just stockpile, all right? Or they're just shutting down the assembly lines altogether, right? So anyways, guys, in the comment area, let's have this discussion. And as always, if you enjoy this content, or if you got even this much out of it, throw me a big thumbs up. That would be stellar. And don't forget to smash that subscribe button so you can get all of my content when it becomes available. And click the bell icon over here, so when it is available, you will be notified of it. And finally, head over to my website, JCristina.com, where you can find all the photography tools that I've invented for you and me over the years. And hopefully there's something there that you might like. And if there is, please pick it up and support me and my family. I would really appreciate it. That's it, guys. I'm out of here for yet another vlog. Many blessings to you and your family. Stay safe and stay healthy.